Most High, we're back again. All praise to the Most High, we're back again. This is part 3, session 3 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous People, which would be us. Okay? So we're going to go over some things today, but first I want to lay out some information concerning the law. What is the law? How long have the establishing of God's law been on the earth? How long have it been recognized as the law of the land, God's law, common law? How it was created to be, how common law was created here in the in Azareth, and when did the United States adopt God's law? Because we see here these laws here that we're looking at, international law. It's not something they just made up and came up with on their own. They went back as far as the as far as how the Israelites were governing by God's law, governing moral, political, and all of that. They used that law to create uh, to use to create the laws for their community and for the earth. This is united. This is the United Nations, but they want to force this law on everybody when they're not keeping it. We're getting deeper in this study, man. It's getting deep. So we want to show you. I don't want to do a lot of talking. I want to show you some articles, how the law was created, what it means to be free, how you delegate, how the United States gets its power to govern itself. And not only that, these laws were created so they wouldn't infringe on other people' ability and to govern their own nations and communities. We govern everybody should be governing themselves by God's laws, and how they treat other people, what's good to eat. It's going to get back to that. That's why Christ came, to turn us back to the Father, the mindset of the Most High, our Father, earthly Father, our Father of the earth. He created everything. And if the nations did what God wanted them to do, and to hold us up as their blessing on the earth, we are to bless the nations, right? But they didn't consider us a blessing, so they put us in captivity, therefore causing them to be under the curse, to have to pay the price of the curse for doing that to God's delegate authority. God delegated his authority to us, the Israelites, to share with the rest of the world, to teach them how to make it on the earth, a populated earth. Right? So we're going to look at some of that today. You know, we went over section 1 and section 2. This is session 3. We're going to start at page 5. All right. So before we get started, we want to clarify some things people might not know. I think we need to start here, and I'm probably should run over this in every video. So this is the American Dictionary, 1828. That's an old dictionary. Nor Webster. That's the dictionary I was telling you about. So we're going to look at the definition of an American, right? Because the governments, the people who call themselves governments, they are really terrorists, and they are perpetrators of a fraud. They're committing fraud on the people here. You know, and they are in the business to cut us off from being a nation. That's the business of the Edomites, who run the world now, Esau's descendants. So he's in the business to use all the nations in confederate with him in cooperation and basically in harmony, in concert to carry out the objective of cutting us off from being a nation. We need to know that first. So we going to want everybody to know this pertaining to America, Americans pertaining to America. This is the definition of an American. This is where it first started. This is the first definition and the true definition. A native of America. It's a noun. A native of America. Originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper tone people. You can say Aboriginals, which means we were here in the land first, and they applied it to the people who was in the land first, which would be the copper tone people, not the pale-faced Native American peoples. You know what I mean? So you can say, hey, I got an ancestor, one of my great ancestors. They were, they had some black in them, a drop of black in them, either way it go, either way, okay, all right, fine. Your great grandmother had a drop of black in her. And that's and so you think that makes you an Aboriginal. No, it don't. Both of your parents have to be from this land. Or at least the father has to be. The bloodline is the father. So it applied to the copper tone races. What does that mean? There were more than one tribe here when they got here. Think about it. Races, that's plural, not singular. Meaning there were more, and this is just the way they explain it, to keep from explaining, hey, the northern kingdom and Judah was over here when we got here. The races found here in America by the Europeans. They found us here. They can go change their definition or Scooby-Doo it around as much as they want, but we got the records right here. And this is not it, okay? By the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of the Europeans born in America. Now, we know that's not right, right? We know it don't apply to them because the 14th Amendment, right? Well, the discussion about the 14th Amendment saying just because you were born here don't make you that 14th Amendment for you. The 14th Amendment was for us to understand who the Aboriginal people are of this land. And they are not of our citizenship. That's what the Europeans should be saying. That's the Europeans' guideline not to violate their treaties and peace treaties and constitution and common law against another people, another state here abiding here with them. They're going to have their jurisdiction. Their forefathers did what they did and put them way above us and gave them the whole legal system. They call legal system. But they said, now, these people that's here with you, the copper tone people, they are not citizens that we brought in here. They brought Africans, they brought East Indian, dark-skinned people, they brought Europeans, But these people who were found in America when we got here, regardless if they're down in South America, Central America, those copper tone people came from North America. This is what you should be saying, man. This is what every one of us should be saying. Those copper tone people all over the Americas was brought from North America. When we came over here and took over governing this land and colonizing this land as terrorists, domestic threats, because they are our enemies. The Bible says it. They even say it. and their action prove that they are our enemies. Okay, your action prove that you're our enemies. Do every one of your citizens stay away from us? They do now. But yeah, they see a group of people here. Like you go anywhere else, you see somebody that look good and you want them, you want to be with them, they make you happy, then you join yourself with them. Is that right according to God? No. We're not supposed to join ourselves with our enemies. Okay? Trust not your enemy. Don't go to bed with them. Don't get in bed with them. I know it sounds rough, but until we get our nation back on track, we need to come out from among them. So we see this as one of the articles. Let's see. This is one of the piece of papers. This is one of the things I need to show you in order to get our thinking, to get our identity and our thinking back on the right track. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind here in a few minutes. Watch this. So now we're going to talk about government by consent. Regardless of what government you have, whether it be European government, whether it be Israelites government, here's what it is. Government by consent. Under our system of government upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizens, the state does not claim to control him or her except as his or her conduct to others. They control that. They're supposed to step in and stop people from hurting themselves. Okay? This is what we said, right? We all agree that that's right. Okay? Conduct to others. Leaving him or her the sole judge as to all that affects himself or herself. Every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. The law of nature, right? What AKA known as common law. Common law. It's going to freak you out when I show you where that came from. And is not bound by any institutions, is that institutions? Yeah, institution formed by his institutions formed by his fellow man without his consent. So no institution can form a law and you have to go along with it unless you consent to it. Unless you say, hey, that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna step in and help enforce it. I'm gonna be a part of that. Give you my power, my portion of the power. So when they look at me and want my vote, I vote that we want you to work that. We want you to delegate that for us because it protects us. Okay. The sovereignty of a state, that's every individual, right, does not reside in the person who fill the persons who fill the different departments of its government. Let's see where we at. 13 minutes. But in the people from whom the government emanated, and that they may change it at their discretion. You can change it at your discretion. If the government, you tell the government, we want you to do this. They can't later, when you come back and say, hey, that's not working, change it to this. They can't say, nah, you can't change it. This is ratified in law. You can't change that. The government has no power to do that. They can't go in Congress and vote and say, hey, we voted in Congress and the Senate saying we ain't gonna change that. No, we ain't gonna change. We're gonna take your Social Security. We're gonna go in and gut all of this out. The people say they don't want you to do that. Well, no, y'all appointed us to be governors, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna govern this thing. We're gonna do it. We're gonna give all the rich people a tax break. They don't have to pay taxes, and they don't have to give you fair wages. Your government cannot do that because they don't have the power because you tell them what's working for you and what's not. Okay, it just makes sense, man. Come on now, stop Trump, stop all you senators and stuff. You think that those, you say, well, the Democrat ain't. I'm gonna tell you something. People crying, the Democrat ain't saying nothing. They just watching because they are not at odds with each other. They're playing good cop, bad cop. All of the government want the same thing. They want the power that the people have over them. They want it to stop, and they want to use the people for their benefit to make them rich. Using the lobbyists. If you change this law where it benefit me and cut my taxes, you stop the regulating of this poison we pouring into the water system. Don't regulate nothing. Just let us do what we want to do. We'll kick you off. We'll kick you off. See, that's how that works. Okay? So let's person residing in the state emanate and they change it at their discretion. You can change at your discretion what's working for you and tell your government, stop, we want to change. We ain't got to vote and get you out of there before we change it. You ain't got the right once you get in there. You don't have the right to say, well, you vote and maybe the next guy you vote for a change, but right now I'm in charge. No, they can't do that, man. You get their ass out of there as fast as possible if they ever think to say they're not going to change something that all the people vote on. That's why if you're not white, you should not be a part of the United States citizenship. If you're not Esau's descendants, because they outnumber you. They outnumber the people. They moved us around into certain districts so they can outnumber. That means they can vote for their issues and get their issues met, get food on their table when giving you crumbs on your table. Because that's how that works. This is a republic. This is a republic system. I'm going to show you this is not supposed to be a democratic system. I'm going to show you this is not supposed to be a democratic system. Because you know why. And it should not, and God did not melt us down and put us all in one government together. He separated us according to our nations because he knew ain't no nation gonna give another nation more than he given his nation. I ain't gonna give your kids a better life and give my kids just cause it's right to be equal. No, I'm gonna give my kids the advantage over you. Because you already the Israelites and you got an advantage over us. You got God working for you. So I'm not going to sit up here like Kamala Harris said. I'm not going to sit up here and just give the Israelites something and don't give to everybody else. She was right. But she was telling you we should not be a part of that government. We should have our own government. I'm going to show you. Emanate and change it at their discretion. Sovereignty then in this country abides with the constituency and not with the agency, right? You see that? The reason why it stands with the agency now because the people don't want to get blamed for being prejudiced toward the people that's not of their nation. They don't want to fight. That's political warfare. That's warfare. They said we ain't got nothing to do with it. That's the government doing y'all like that. But they're voting for that government that's doing you like that. We see it happening. Wake up. We see what the mulattoes, Latino and whatever. You see what they did? When they wanted their issues, they all voted for Biden. And then they turned around and voted for Trump. They voted for the government, and then they stood back and said, watch what they do to them. They're going to move them right out the way and put us in their spot. We get a better life. We can come out of this hot-ass Mexico and South America. That's how you know that the Northern Kingdom did not go to South America. If they went down there, they would have came right back. Why you think they coming now? Because it's not a livable climate. It's nothing down there. It's no plush vegetables, and it's not the life. They don't want to live down there. That's torture. That's Hades to them. That's hell to them. They want to come up here. Why you think they come across that border? Because Mexico is so great. Guatemalans, they have such a great island. They have they live in such a great, lavish, beautiful houses, and everybody got their own people. No, they are crowded and stacked on top of each other down on them islands and continents. It's all ghetto. That's why they're coming up here and voting as white. They bring the white-looking ones up here to vote for white supremacy, promising them our place on this continent, like they've always done when they brought people in. But this law that they're talking about is for them. But if them bringing people on this land is pushing us to the worst parts of the land, then they are not the sovereigns on the land. They have to, like what Trump is doing, come in and move them people off. That's of God. He's moving them back. Really, that's of God. That's the birth pains easing up on us. But don't let it fool you. The Most High is delivering us, so there's going to be more birth pains. Because as they pretend to deliver us from themselves, they're trying to force us back in servitude again. But the Bible says that the Most High will not suffer us to go back in Egypt again. What period is that talking about? It ain't contradicting Deuteronomy 28 and 68, because that already happened. So it ain't contradicting that, because that happened. What it is saying that after we are free from those chains, slavery is over. God is waking us up and delivering us from them. There's going to be pain from them trying to force us back in that position again, and to keep their kingdom going and their power going. We ain't going to hold you too long. We're going to cut this. We're going to cut this off, and we're going to keep going. We got sessions. We got about 30 sessions to get this message to you in bits and pieces. I know you don't have long, and your interest span is not long. Attention span is not that long, so we just gonna give it to you in little spurts, little birth pains. But you gotta learn this. You gotta learn this so you can start thinking like sovereign people on the earth, like the people God made you to think like, with the mind of God. Let this mind be within you that was also in Christ Jesus. You gotta read the Bible and you gotta understand who you are. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. You coming back to who you are. This is what we're doing. It's what only thing I've been on YouTube to do is this, to show you where your thinking is bad, and we need to get our thinking back on track. That's the only reason I came on YouTube. Not to beat up white people, not to beat up the other Israelites, not to prove anybody wrong, not to prove that I'm so smart. I'm not smart. I learned this stuff just like y'all did. I had a 5th grade comprehension level when I started college at the age of, I was in my 50s, late 40s. I went back to school for psychology. That was recent, okay? That was recent. All right, so yeah, let's get back to this. Sovereignty is then in this country abides with the constituencies, and not with the agent. But the constituency, they consider them, the agent consider the constituencies as for the rich people. They only listen to the rich people, the will of the desire of the rich people. They got, it's wrong, that's wrong. And this remark is true, both in reference to the federal and state government. The people, they give the people what they want. You can't say, well, nah, that's not gonna work for the tax purposes. Y'all gonna, the deficit gonna be off. No, you could tell us that, but we say, hey, we need these people, homeless people, to be off the street. You spending money everywhere. Get these homeless people in their houses that they need. Get them the food. Give them, let them, don't give a damn about Costco or Walmart and not being able to make their bottom line. Their food is bad anyway. Let's get them off. Let's get these people in and start them working and being productive in their own community. If they want to trade corn for wheat, let them do whatever they do. If they want to go to Walmart, Walmart got some products that they want and need, then they'll go to Walmart. People want to go to Walmart, go to Walmart. People want to grow their own food and purify their own water and generate their own energy. They do that. They have the right to do that. Okay? So in the United States, sovereignty resides with the people. Congress cannot invoke the sovereign power of the people. You can't take that away. To override their will. You can't invoke your sovereign power, Congress, and say, hey, we're going to override y'all's will. That's what I just explained. Therefore, sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law. Sovereignty is not subject to law. You understand that? Y'all understand that? General Yohana, you understand that? Nate, you can't say, well, we're going to keep y'all's laws because y'all sovereign. No, they're not sovereign. They're sovereign because you won't stand up and fight them and resist them if it means your life. And I keep telling y'all, they didn't win the fight in this country. And they did that by, like Netanyahu said, policies and patience. They had to wait and break y'all down, poison your water, kill your buffalo, give you smallpox, use all these eugenic tactics to break you down and make you think we can't make it without them. They got all of these weapons. All this stuff is happening in the land. We sick. We ain't got no food. Our animals die. We got to go to these people for their cows and they poison chickens and poison water and distillery water. Yeah. Okay? People to override their will. Therefore, sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to the law, for it is the author and source of the law. Sovereignty is the author. Your sovereignty is what makes the law. So we are the law. Our laws, God, us being Israelite, make us the law. You understand that? Us being indigenous to this land make us the law of the land because we are the sovereign of this land. They can't come in making laws and forces because we are the law. You understand? Y'all understand? I'm trying to break it down. I'm not trying to be like the Moors and sell nothing to you. I ain't making no money off these videos or nothing. I would like to just be laying back with my feet kicked up watching TV, But I care about my nation, man. So I'm trying to, y'all need to get this and spread it and talk to it. You got it, talk to it, your kids and your neighbors and everything so we can come. This is how we come back to being a nation. And another thing I need y'all to do, which will help you very much. I'm going to show you something. A game you need to get on in your phone. You need to download it. It's free. It's called Township. And it shows you how to put a community together. You do it hands-on. You play the game and you're not going to be able to, you got to reach certain levels. You got in community, you have certain levels and you got to do certain things on the game to establish community before you can reach another level to get other people to come in, to get you get the factories, you gotta have so many people before you can plant so much food, and all of that is on different levels, right? Before you can get an airport, you gotta be on a certain level. Before it shows you how to set up community, and everybody needs to know that this is how they set up communities all over the world, and it's in a game now. You can go have fun doing it, okay? how to grow the food, how long it take you to grow certain items, corn, wheat, tomatoes, sugar, cotton, a textile. You got to get a textile in there. Restaurants, libraries, all that comes with different levels you must reach. You know. You got to put certain things that's going to attract your community, movie theaters, factories. You got to sustain your people. And this game shows you, and this is what you need to learn because they never taught you this. They didn't teach you this. No, they didn't teach you how to community government. They didn't teach you that in school. They didn't want you to learn that. And I'm trying to teach you now. So yeah, sovereignty remains with the people. Let's see. While sovereign powers are delegated to agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people, by whom and for whom all government exists. The government by the people need people. You need people to go in and work for you, work for themselves, but not in a selfish way. Not I'm for myself and my family. We're going to use these people to vote for me. Then we're going to go in and do what the rich people want us to do. The bouilliers and the factory owners and the equipment owners. And we're going to do what they want us to do because they're going to give us a kickback so we can rise up above the people. That's Esau's wicked mind, man. That ain't God's mind. I'm going to show you this. Let me see, where we at? 31. I gotta get out of here, y'all. I'm gonna come right back with the next video with the rest of this. I gotta show y'all all of this, man. I'm gonna show you where government and law, where common law came from, and what it means, where law really came from. I'm gonna show you it came from the Israelites, and they used it. I got it right here. Let me see. By whom, for the people, all government exists, and the law declares Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights is the definition and limitations of power. You see that? The Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights is their definition and limitation of their power. Definition of what they can do in their, that's their law. And also the definition of what they can't do and their limitation, what they're supposed to be respecting. Oath of office, we will not violate this other people that's here with us. We will not violate them. So we're going to get off of here. Let's see. I'm going to go right to the next video and pull in. Let's see. We're going to pull this in right here. We the people of the United States. We're going to pull in that. We're going to pull in law, common law. All right. How it's a Republican and when it started. And the Peace and Friendship Treaty. We're going to get all that in there. So yeah, all praise to the Most High.